Have you ever spent hours mixing a track using all these fancy techniques you've learnt on YouTube only to put on a professional reference track and realise yours still sounds amateur? So you go back in, tweak the EQ, adjust the compression, maybe even throw on a mastering chain, but nothing really fixes it. Well, here's what's interesting. After working with thousands of producers to get their music to a professional standard, I've noticed something. It's almost never the mixing. There are actually 3 producer traps that almost everyone falls into, and in this video I'm going to show you what they are and how you can avoid them. Because the problem is, each one feeds into the other, making the whole problem even worse. And when you fix them, not only will your track sound more professional, you'll probably find yourself doing less mixing, and it's easier. But if you ignore them, you'll be stuck tweaking plugins and wondering why your tracks never quite get there. So let's start with the first one, because this happens from the moment you start producing a track. Imagine you're buying a sofa. You go into a showroom to find the most incredible sofa there. Huge, luxurious, looks amazing, super comfy, and you love it. But then you get it home, and it either completely overwhelms your living room or it's not quite the right color. And I know, I literally did this recently and had to sell the new sofa. And why is that? Now, there's nothing wrong with the sofa, it's just wrong for the room, and sounds work exactly the same way. Let's have a listen to this lead synth. Nice! Now let's listen to this bass. That is cool. So logically, they're in the same key and they're hitting the right notes, so if we put them together, we should get something even better. Oh. Except we don't. And this is what I call the solo trap. When you audition sounds based on how impressive they sound on their own, rather than how useful they're going to be in the context of the track, you're making the same mistake I made with the sofa. Your listener never actually hears your sounds in solo. They only hear them against everything else in the track, competing for a finite amount of space. For example, let's listen to these 2 kicks. And the second one? Okay, on its own, I'd probably choose A. B sounds a bit weak, but listen inside this track. Here's kick A. And now B. I actually prefer B because I think it fits the vibe of the track better. So B wins despite being a less impressive sound. And that's exactly why it works, which I'll explain in a minute. So here's how to avoid trap number 1. Don't choose the best sound, choose the right sound. And as you can hear, there's a big difference. But this creates another problem, because even if you've chosen the right individual sound, you can still completely ruin the track by falling into this next trap. Now imagine if every character in The Avengers was trying to be the main character in every single scene. Thor's giving a dramatic speech, Spider-Man's swinging around behind him, Hulk smashing things, and Doctor Strange is doing whatever he's doing. You just wouldn't know where to look, and amateur tracks suffer from exactly that problem. Let's look at this track I've been working on and see if you can figure out what the trap is. If we start with the kick on its own, we might think that sounds a bit weak, so we'll add a bit of compression. Okay, sounding a bit punchier now. Now let's bring the bass in. Okay, sounds good. Let's add a bit more power to it, so it really sticks out, gives some real power. Lovely. Now let's balance the piano against the kick. Sounds good. What about this main synth? Now I can really hear it. And what about this backing synth? It sounds good, but I really want to hear it. Sounds great against the kick now, but now let's turn everything on and hear the mix. Whoa. Everything's fighting for that main attention. So somehow, after making every sound better, the track got worse because every sound has a job. Some sounds are supposed to be the star. Some provide weight, some provide rhythm, some provide width or warmth, and some sounds are literally just there to make another sound feel better. So let's go back to the same track. We're going to dial back some of the compression, take down some of the volumes, and this is what we end up with. I've actually made some of these sounds worse in isolation, but listen to the record. It's better. The reason is professional tracks have a clear hierarchy, whereas amateur tracks have competition and elements fighting with each other to be the lead character. But there's a third mistake that's even sneakier, because unlike the first two, this one actually feels like you're being a good producer. Let me explain. There's an old expression, rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. The ship's sinking, the captain's given the order to abandon ship, but you're worrying about whether the deck chairs are lined up nicely. And producers do this constantly. You've got a track that isn't quite working, so you start fixing things. You tweak the hi-hat, maybe the reverb length, compress the clap, automate something, and spend 15 minutes making the snare 4% better, but 2 hours later, the track still doesn't work, because the problem was none of those things. It could have been the arrangement. It could have been the bass line was wrong. It could have been the drop didn't have enough contrast against the build. I call this the 10% trap, because you're making a 10% improvement to something that only contributes 10% to the final result, while ignoring the decision that could improve the entire track. So here's an example of that. If we listen to our track, we might think something's not working in the drums. So we might try to start EQing or compressing this top loop, trying to get the sound exactly as we want. Okay, we're a bit closer. Whereas if we just switched out the loop to something that's more appropriate for this genre, it instantly sounds better. So I didn't add any new plugins, no fancy mastering, just one main decision. And this is probably the biggest difference I've noticed between producers who stay stuck for years and producers who start improving quickly. It's not necessarily that the better producers know more, they're just better at identifying what matters most right now. Because you don't need to know about advanced sidechain EQ when you just need to change the kick drum. So whenever you're about to tweak something, ask yourself, is this actually the biggest problem I can hear? If the answer's no, don't touch it yet. So if your music still sounds amateur despite everything you've learned, stop assuming you need another mixing technique. Go back through these 3 decisions. 1, have I chosen sounds because they're right for the track or because they sound impressive solo? 2, does every sound have a clear job or is everything fighting to be the star? And 3, am I fixing the biggest problem or polishing things that barely matter? Because all 3 lead back to the same principle. Professional music production isn't about doing more, it's about making better decisions. And again, after years of teaching music production, I realized most intermediate producers don't need another 500 tutorials. They need to know what to focus on, in what order, on their own music. That's exactly what we do inside the Music Production Accelerator, giving the tools you need and the feedback to help you make better, faster decisions. It's how we get such great results for our students. If you want to find out how it works, there's a link below, but there's one decision in particular that can make or break your track before you've really started, and that's choosing the right sounds. So I'm going to put a video there that's going to show you how to choose your bass sound, because getting the perfect bass is really the underpinning of most electronic music. But before you head over there, if you found this useful, let me know in the comments below what you're struggling with and I'll do my best to help. And if you haven't already, do please subscribe to the channel. It's the easiest and free thing you can do to help support the channel. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you over at that next video where we're going to find you the perfect bass.